So it's early August and there are so many things to do: collecting seeds, harvesting fruits and vegetables, and leafy greens. And here I'm giving you a little update of the garden, Serenity garden. I have here a clutch of papaya trees, and in the same pot I grew a melon. Not sure if it's the Japanese melon, the hammy melon, or the golden melon, but there's one right there, and it has a lot of other blossoms along the way. So I hope I get more fruit from this plant. I have been trying to grow some sugarcane from my parents. I finally got some from them. They actually gave me 6 canes, and here I have 4. I gave 2 to some friends, and I'm trying to root it. So at the nodes it starts to root, and then the shoot comes out as well. So you have to lay it sideways and dig a hole about 3 inches, 4 inches deep, and stick these canes in sideways horizontally, and then bury them, and you should come up with some nice sugar canes that you can use as structures or as a food source. And it's better if you grow it at the periphery of your property. Here I have a bunch of pots of blueberry seeds, as well as some other stone fruit seeds, and I know they won't come out because it hasn't had the winter days that it needs, a number of chill hours. But I was curious if I could grow them, and they said that it's usually okay to grow it from the seed, and that the fruit will be decent. So I have kind of quite a few pots here, and then what I did was I've been harvesting sunflower heads for my chickens so they can have the seeds, and so I've been taking all the pollen and the flowering parts and leafy parts and throwing in there. And I had some corn that I fed them as well, so it's kind of a mulch. A while back I ate some papayas, and then I threw some of the seeds in here, and I didn't think it was gonna come up. It's been months, and finally it started to appear, and quite a few have died, but there's at least 3 plants here, I believe. So they like to be protected. So these, I guess, aren't very protected, and they're heavy feeders. And my relationship with papayas, very iffy. They come up sometimes. I only had 1 batch survive. Now this one looks like it might be okay, but in the winter it might die, so I never know. Over here is another melon that I planted a couple months ago, and it's starting to come up, and I just do a variety of things, and I hope that it attaches to this structure I have, and then kind of grows a bunch. Here is my massive pineapple sage. It's edible, and I've been propagating a few. Not sure if it's too late in the season to propagate it, but I'm going to try. And I've got several chili plants. Here is my bell pepper plant, which I thought was dying, but now it's got many blooms and many starts of fruits. And over here I have snacking orange peppers, and I guess the picture shows them being orange, so I'm gonna eat it when it is orange and harvest it. And I bought those at the same time as these eggplants, which are doing fantastic. They used to be the same size as those peppers, but now they're huge, and they're blooming a ton. And I counted, and there are about 7 eggplants. There's 3 on this one, and then there are 4 on this one, and they are massive. Let me move this leaf aside. Massive. And I'm still getting more blooms, so I'm quite happy about that. And then I've got an overwintered pepper from previously. And then another overwintered pepper that was getting, sorry about the shadow. It was getting spider mites, and I just kept the plant moist, and because they don't like that environment, they like it dry and hot. And it came back, and I started to trellis it up against this trellis, affix it to the trellis. I have a new sunflower coming up. I'm so excited because the other ones were being eaten by squirrels. And I have lots of tomato starts that I took the armpit part of it, the shoots, and I stuck it in here. So some of them are doing really great. And then eventually I will tie it up to this structure here and kind of keep it higher from the ground so it doesn't get diseased. And here is Tomato Alley, where I have the organic heirloom tomatoes. I bought just one tomato, and then I took the seed and I stuck it in this area here, and it came up with a bunch, but they were all clustered, so I separated them. And then after I separated them into little pots and into the ground, they're doing nicely. So nice. I was feeling sad that a couple years ago I had tall, huge Cuban oregano, and it died off in the winter. It doesn't do well in the winter. And now I got myself another plant, and it's doing fantastic, along with my sweet basil. Same here. I just went around sticking hammy melon seeds, golden melon seeds, and Japanese melon seeds all over the place. And here I have another one growing. It's massive. Don't see any fruit yet, but it's getting quite tall and going up this trellis, which I love because it makes more room for me to walk. I have very few walking paths right now, and a lot of plants that I'm trying to grow upwards. And here, I'm not sure if it's a mouse melon, a Armenian cucumber, or a bitter melon. What happened was I stuck a lot of bitter melon seeds here because I definitely wanted bitter melon this year, but it didn't seem to grow forever. And then suddenly I have this variety of leaf, which is different from this variety of leaf. So I know these are the melons, one of the melons I got. But this, I'm not sure if it's a cucumber or a bitter melon. So we'll find out. And they're trellised on the same one, and I don't mind. It looks really, really pretty. In this bed, I've been trying to propagate tomatoes from my plant that's pushing out tons of green leaves and branches, and I just pluck out the leaves and branches and stick them in here, except this dirt. I'm not sure if it's just really poor. It's like really sandy and fine dirt, so the plants here don't look too well, but we'll see over time. And same thing in this bed, I grew some melons, so I stuck the seed in here and it started climbing, and here is one melon from that. And in this other bed, I grew a row of tomatoes, and these are the small tomatoes, and I think they're the pear-shaped variety, which have a nice sweet tangy burst when I put it in some salad recently. And also here is a melon that I stuck in the same bed, and I'm not sure what variety, but I'm looking forward to collecting or harvesting a bunch to eat. And if you've been looking at my shorts, I did talk about Tomato Alley, and I did talk about these Japanese melons. I have 5 of them here, and some of them are kind of in the pots so that they can not get bugs biting into them or slugs and whatnot. And they are growing still. If you look in my garden, it looks like a jungle. I have amaranth that's growing here, and it's shading the chickens, which is great. I just recently chopped and put these canna that were falling over. They were leaning over, so I just cut them and I stuck them here. It's not to grow, it's just so that the hummingbirds can get to the flowers if they wish. If not, I'll just lay it down. Such a waste to just toss it. And here is my yard-long beans producing more. I just harvested some yard-long beans, and it's making more beans. And I'm trying to propagate more tomatoes. And here is another variety. I think this is another variety of beans. Look at how massive this is. It just only recently started to grow bigger and have beans. Lately I've been seeing hornets in my garden, which hornets don't have any real good benefits to your garden other than to sting you. I wish I had seen more wasps, which they inject their larvae into certain pests, and then that helps to get rid of those pests. So I'm kind of disappointed in that, but I'm just going to let nature take care of it, because I've been seeing, I have a lot of pests lately. I have some kind of beetle that attacks my brassicas, and then it moves on to other plants, and it literally just sits on the leaves and stems and sucks all the fluids out of the plants. I also have lots of grasshoppers, which, you know, bear in mind, in hard times, they're the locusts. They change from grasshoppers to locusts, and even the grasshoppers are detrimental because they eat all your greens. And I'm sorry about the shadow. What I did was I had a sunflower growing here, Lemon Queen. It's growing nice and tall, and pretty soon, if those bugs don't get to it and take up all the nutrients and fluids from the plant, then I can have more flower heads with seeds in them to give to my chickens. But meanwhile, it is a structure, so that's what I love. I'm going to do that in the future. You know, you've heard of Three Sisters gardening, but this is a pretty good one where you grow something tall, like a tall variety of a flowering plant, such as a sunflower that draws in pollinators, and you grow tomatoes next to it, and basil for the scent to kind of confuse pests like tomato hornworms. And what I'm doing is I'm staking my tomato up onto this sunflower. So you can credit that idea to me. And I also grew a melon down below, another one. Practically every bed has a melon, and I have this mother plant that is a tomato, the big boy hybrid that I said it pushes out tons and tons of branches and leaves, and it still is. And what I've been doing is just taking shoots off of them to propagate more fruit, more plants from, and then I give it to friends and family. I do have several fruit here. Some kind of pest, as I said, went in and ate my tomato. Just as I said, that's why I needed my cages that I found recently, my rabbit cages. And it's going to help me cover up my plants and such. So, at least my greens. And here I saved seeds from my Tulsi plant because my original Tulsi plant got really big and it lived 2 winters and then it died. So this one's doing fantastic, and it always pushes out flowers. And here's another trick you can get from me, which is I pluck these flowers. Are very scented, very heavily scented, and I just throw them into where my tomatoes are, my tomato plants, so that the tomato hornworms and other pests have a hard time finding them. And this Tulsi pushes out flowers all the time, so almost daily I just pluck the blooms and I throw it into my chicken coop to prevent pests, or I throw it into my tomato plants to confuse the pests. And the reason why I even come out here is because of this wonderful product. I got it from Costco for $50. This is this is called Thermacell, and you just click this button and then it turns on, and it's run on a battery that you can recharge that has a wire as well. And it has it just heats up some kind of pad that has their special secret ingredient that wards off mosquitoes. Otherwise I would be eaten alive out here. And here is my canna in the middle of my garden, providing shade to the chicken coop as well. And I love it. It also provides chop and drop material to mulch my ground, feed my plants, and usually I deadhead it, and I throw the deadheaded products around my plants to mulch my plants. But right now it's so tall I can't reach it. That is probably 10 to 12 feet tall back up there. Let me give you a view of it. So I'm so excited. I'm seeing what looks to me like hoverflies, and not this one though, that's the fly. But I see hoverflies and other things. Still I see honeybees, so that's great. I try to provide lots of flowering plants. So here's my avocado plant I'm trying to give away to my relatives, and so far no one said anything to me. I also have a couple pomegranate plants. Here is a beautiful Cosmo that's coming up. I can't wait. Here is another sunflower. I just went around when I was feeding the sunflower seeds, the dead heads to the chickens. I took a few seeds and I just scattered it all over the place so that I have another generation of sunflowers. I'm trying to propagate some lavender. Some chrysanthemums are growing amongst my society garlic. And the apples are getting a little bit bigger. Some of them have been eaten by the big eater beetles. Can't do anything about it. I even tried to bag it and they got into the bags. Here's another tomato. I might have planted it in the wrong spot because I just saw an opening and I stuck it in here, but it doesn't get very much sun. Let's see. I have tons of pineapple guava, feijoa, and just out of curiosity, I just wanted to see how it tasted. It's not yet ready. It was hard, and it had its very menthol, pineapple-y flavor that it has. I can't quite describe it, but I'll have to try it when it is. And this clearance zinnia is doing so nice. It's just throwing out blooms all over. I love it so much. And now the Gerber daisies, which I thought it was over, the season for them were over, but no, they're just starting to pop up. There's 3 blooms, and so's my lovely marigold. It's just bushing out really nicely, providing shade and coverage. So I know now for sure that papayas love coverage. Like, maybe they like shade. I don't know. I know they need moisture, but maybe they like shade because they're under my Shinseiki pear and my Kefir lime, and it's growing fabulously. So I hope to have actual papayas. Over here I was kind of staking up my sunflower, and it looked really nice earlier, but like I said, those beetles are drying up my sunflowers and they barely can even bloom, and then they dry out and they don't get as big as they should, as well as, but initially the bees get to it, so I'm glad about that. But also squirrels and stuff have been eating my seeds. If it were wild birds, I don't mind, but primarily I want it for my chickens. And so yeah, something got to this one, which I bagged, and something ate it. I'm so upset. I should have cut that this morning. I've been cutting it about like 6 flowers and giving it to my chickens. Over here I have some beautiful zinnias that I grew from the start in the Bell Country fire ring, and I pulled it out the structure so that I could plant that other herb garden over there. And so over here I just had zinnias and bachelor button and sunflowers in this area, in this circle. So I decided to throw some more zinnia seeds in here, and I threw cosmo seed. It just keeps leafing out, but I don't see any flowers. Look at all the zinnias that I have, and I've just harvested some yesterday, and I've been harvesting probably 8 arrangements of flowers. I have little baby tomatoes all over the place. Here's Mr. Stripey Tomato. I hope I get to it. I hope it ripens before something gets to it. I've really been trying hard to water these guys. It's hard to keep them watered in this hot sun because I don't like to come out here after the morning. So I come out in the mornings, water everything, feed the chickens, and try to harvest a couple things here and there, and then I run inside and stay in the shade and the coolness. Now in the food forest, I didn't have any reason really to come in here to plant melons and stuff, but I saw that this trellis, which I'm keeping the canes, the goji canes back, kind of trying to keep this at bay because it's getting out of hand. I decided to throw a seed for a melon in here, and I hadn't seen it in a while, and all of a sudden I saw these leaves up here, and then that's when I saw the melon. So I'm so excited. I love it when they're off the ground, and I hope it makes more fruit besides the one. But if it only makes the one, it's fine because it has a lot of leaves so that I can use as mulch. Here are my roses, and I think they're a hot pink variety, which I love. And then I threw, so it has 3 buds here. 1, 2, 3. And then I have a tomato plant I propagated. And then I have more roses. Oh, I didn't see this little one over here. More roses. This one I need to deadhead. It's a pink one. I gotta get in here and harvest all these red bird chilies because they're delicious and they're good in pastas. They're good with certain salads, just to pop them into different foods that you have just for flavoring. And my dad bashes them and adds vinegar and garlic and makes his own hot chili sauce. My perennials are blooming, but they don't look too hot, some of them. I'm not sure what's going on. My armeria is not looking very good at all. It could be that I put some of the fertilizer in here and it was too strong. I have a geranium I bought on clearance. These are from Bluestone Perennials. They're doing pretty good. I was surprised because when I got them I thought, oh my gosh, you're gonna die immediately, but they just shot right back up. I love it. This is my raspberry butterfly bush, and you can see the label there, Buzz Hot Raspberry. I bought this from Home Depot a while back, and recently it looked just like real like sticks, like it was dead, and I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know what to do. I just stuck it in the ground and it's coming back, and I know these get to like 5 feet tall or more, so I'm really happy because they'll draw in lots of pollinators, and when it's a brighter pink when it first blooms, it's so pretty. It still is, but it's so pretty. And I noticed that a lot of the beneficial insects like blooms that have tiny little blossoms. I had some seeds from Johnny's for Gomphrena, and I threw it in, and I love it. It's making these little purple and white flowers, and it doesn't require very much water, and I should plug it into the ground, and then I believe this is a watermelon, which I need to transplant this into the ground badly in a less shadier part of the garden. And I have this mum. It was one plant and it was falling over as it is, and I think I might be able to separate it if it keeps this falling over. And this is part of the same plant, so it's kind of spread out. And over there is some kind of plant that I threw the seed in. I have not yet seen what kind of plant comes out of it or what it is. I have no idea. But over there I have my coneflower, which I'm going to deadhead pretty soon. Here's my Gerbera daisy that started blooming again. So this must be their season, even though I thought their season was in the spring. Over here I planted a tomato plant, and I thought, why not have, using this structure, also have Malabar spinach. So it is going crazy in here, and I have so many tomato plants. If it doesn't grow, it's fine, but it has been providing me lots of tomatoes in there. Not sure if you can see it. And here is another papaya and a couple more papayas and a pot of papayas and some papayas and some cosmos I just sowed. Look at this beautiful guild. I have papayas, some kind of citrus, which I think is a loquat. I have yet to see a fruit. Society garlic that's growing crazy. More papayas. I found out recently that cosmos do okay as their second time planted in July. So I sowed the seeds, and they're coming up, and they're different varieties. I can't wait to see, because there are purple ones, orange ones, and I think maybe red ones, which I didn't know they had such a variety. And here is my Mexican lime tree, and it is just has tons of limes. But I wonder if they're only about the size of your thumb, or do they get bigger? Because it'd just be sad if you had to open up so many just to get some juice out of them. Here's the bigger one. It's bigger than my thumb, maybe a man's thumb. And let's see. Here's another melon. that just grew like crazy, and that calendula was dying, and now it's coming back, thank goodness. And some more papayas, ginger. Here are some figs. This is the white Genoa fig. My persimmon tree is growing vastly. My jasmine I propagated from my parents' house with the very fragrant flowers, and the blooms are really big right now. Another fig tree. Ooh, that's really pretty. Let's see. Almost there. Hopefully no one gets to it, nothing gets to it before I do. I'll wait a couple days. So this leafy plant on my blood orange tree, this is how the leaves look. This with the 1, 2, 3 petals versus this, which isn't 3 petals, is telling me that this must be the rootstock plant, which kind of looks like a Kefir lime, but not quite. But I haven't seen it till now, so I'm gonna have to cut it out, because if you let these grow, they'll overcome your plant that you desire. Actually, I take it back. The Kefir lime has 2 nodes, so that 3-noded thing, I'm not sure what it is. And here's my Kefir lime. Look at how big that lime is. You just take the skin and zest it, and it has a fragrance. And also the leaves are usable in like a lot of Thai cooking, and it adds a lot of fragrance. And my mom's shiso is now 3.5 feet tall, and it still keeps making more leaves, keeps pumping out more. So it tells me that the soil down here is really nutritious. What I did was last winter or late fall, I pulled all the mulch aside. I threw the chicken coop contents and the chicken run contents over here along the paths, and then I covered it over with the mulch, because you don't want the chicken poop everywhere, and you don't want it touching your plants directly. And I think it broke down over the winter and is making lots of nutritious soil. So here's my Malabar spinach climbing over this, what I think to be a dead tree, but I haven't given up on it yet. So I'm just kind of growing in it to kind of help shade the tree from sunburn. And why not grow some kind of food if it's dead? There's one fruit on this tangerine tree, but the problem is here is also the actual tree, and there's the rootstock, which I did not notice until now, so I gotta cut that down as well. Here are some more fig trees, a loquat tree. Look at all those hornets. I don't really like hornets. They don't have a use as wasps do. And here are all my perennials, kind of starting them in the shade a bit. There are my 2 pears hiding. A pair of pears. Some figs. The apricot tree I think is done for the season. I only got about 7 fruit. My Shinseiki pear, I had to pull all the fruit off of them so that the squirrel or whatever it was wouldn't eat all my fruit before I got to them. And also a Malabar spinach is climbing up this, and I don't want it to choke it out, which it does okay in the heat, and then it dies off, so I'll definitely pull it off. But I don't want it to fully choke out my plants, but also to provide some shade to cover the stems of my fruit trees. So that's it. That's my garden so far. Trying to get lots of abundance, trying to have lots of flowers to draw in pollinators. This is my variegated society garlic, my only one that I bought, the only one that I saw when I went to buy them. So I got the last variegated one. Unfortunately, this one is plagued. It can't get as big as the other ones because I keep getting these crabgrass growing through it, and I keep having to pluck them out. And it's like hard because it's thin like the blades of the society garlic. So, but I don't want these grasses to overtake my plant. And that is it. I hope you have a wonderful day and plant some lush food forest in your garden as well. Have a great day.